Welcome back, sailors, to the Main Deck Podcast, a CruiseNews.com production. I'm executive producer Joe Maragliata here with managing editor Harrison Liu. How you
Hi
doing,
there,
Harry?
Joe. I'm doing okay, Joe. It's great to hop on our number 2 podcast, the very second one.
I don't know about you. I think I texted you this as soon as we did our podcast and we chose to do it bi-weekly because, we're both busy people and we didn't want to stress out about making the podcast. I'll say this. I was honestly eager to already get back on the podcast. Like after doing the first initial one, I was like, okay, bi-weekly is too long. You know what I mean? So hopefully one day we'll get to weekly, but yeah.
I had the same concern, but probably not as confident as you. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to change that. I'm going to change that. I'm going to speak a little slower.
But that's what I love about this though too, is because I really do believe we talked about this, I think at the first one, that we're both very good at kind of balancing each other out because I tend to get like rambunctious about some things and then I kind of just put the cart before the horse and then you're like overthinking it, but in the best manner, you know what I mean?
I thought I was the rambunctious one. Boy, wow. Well, there you go. Both of us do suffer a little bit of self-confidence here, but yeah.
I wanted to mention right off the bat, because I realized I didn't really do a good job on the first episode. See, we learned. I wanted to mention our Instagram, our Facebook, our Threads, our Twitter, our YouTube, basically our social channels. So if anyone's listening or even watching, first and foremost, we're trying to build up our social channels. So we've gotten really active on all of our content channels, and specifically YouTube. That's not only is the podcast hosted there and other places you find podcasts like Spotify and Apple, but we're really trying to build those up. So if you're listening and you haven't followed us on those channels, you can easily find us. Cruise News. The names are different because unfortunately Cruise News is a hot name and we had to lock down what we could. I think like Instagram is what, Cruise News 1 or something
Cruise
like
News
that.
1.
But yeah, you'll find
what did you do? On X, you made us Cruise News X, right?
Cruise News X. And then, so I basically try to make it somewhat consistent, but either way, if you type in Cruise News in those channels, you should be able to find us. So yeah, I'd appreciate
Absolutely. And I think, Joe, a lot to you being our in-house digital strategist. We are showing up in a lot of the earlier pages, the first, the second, the third pages. So
yeah.
Thank you very much for that, digital strategist.
Well, thank you for trusting me in that.
All right.
So
there we go. Wow. Well, and then, I don't know, Joe, what are we talking about today? What are we talking about today?
One of the things we both wanted to talk about was I recently published an article. Actually, I clicked publish today, the day we're filming this, about what it's like or the possible feelings about traveling abroad as an American. Only because all the current news, all the current chaos happening in the world, which just seems like it's never ending. I wanted to really ask my fellow colleagues what they felt, because I have a trip coming up in June on a river cruise in Germany. And it just started making me think, because I haven't been out of the country in honestly a few months. And I was like, I wonder what the perception is. I've never, in my years of travel, over 50 plus cruises, I've never had that issue, never that thought process. So that article is now live on Cruise News. And the colleagues that reached out and contributed, they gave really good insight. And I wanted to know what you thought about that. Do you have anything?
Before Joe, true confessions, before Joe actually press published, I went in last night and I took a sneak peek at your article. I mean, this is something that you and I have both been talking about, but then of course, like at this time, this is our brand here. Sorry, hold on a second. Of course, someone had to be calling. Let's hope that's the only interruption we have today. So I did take a look at it because I was a little concerned. I'm sure you were, because we're not political people, right? Yeah. Our hearts is in travel and in the sustainability of travel, and also, helping people with the right information so that they can make the right travel decisions. And for a second, this is us taking a little step out on the edge a little bit.
Yeah, like an opinion piece.
Joe,
so.
Yeah, and Joe, but I thought it was great. I mean, ultimately, I thought it was therapy for me, because
it was therapy.
You asked some great questions. I don't think you gave us any real answers, but I feel like part of it was cathartic for me to read through it and to know that, gosh, we share some of the same concerns.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw Mikkel. I mean, Mikkel, who is our small ship editor.
Mm-hmm.
She is also the editor of sometimesailing.com with her husband, Dan. Um, Mikkel said something really great, which was that, ultimately it's who we are on the cruise and
Mm-hmm.
how we behave, right? And
Absolutely.
that's something where I think, Joe, you and I, we talked about this a little earlier about how you and I, we've traveled. I mean, you've done 50 plus cruises.
Mm-hmm.
Probably five of those, or five, somewhere between 5 to 10 of those are with me.
True. True.
And you don't behave like you don't behave. Well, heck, you're very well behaved. If someone looked at you, I don't think that they, looking at your actions, would peg you any particular. They
Yeah.
wouldn't know what nationality to peg you. You're assertive enough to not be Canadian. You're respectful enough to not be pegged American. If you didn't open your voice, people might think you're British.
Oh, okay. I'll take that. Wouldn't mind waking up with a really cool British accent, actually. Um, no, I agree. And to your point about Mikkel, and actually everyone that gave me a quote, my two friends, Mike and Mike. Actually, I just did Mike Siegel, who I should shout him out really quick. So he's a
Please,
comedian. He actually does comedy on cruise ships, which we want to get him on the podcast. I was just on his
please.
podcast, Travel Tales podcast. Highly recommend, go check him out. He has some great interviews with his colleagues like me and other people like me. Anyways, he also had a really good quote. And one of the things he said on, I forget actually what, if it was in the quote, but we actually were Facebook messaging as well. He basically said,
Yeah.
my main goal, and you can't really say it any better than this. He's like, my main goal has always been to be a good ambassador of the US. And to him, literally what that meant to him was just be a good person, respect the culture. And that's really it. And that's how I've been, I appreciate you praising me, but that's how I've always lived. I've always been like, I'm in your country, I'm in your neighborhood, I'm in your local cafe. I want to respect you and what you do. You know what I mean? Like your food, your everything, your ways. You know what I mean? Like
You're going there to learn with an open
absolutely.
mind and an open heart. I've seen that before with you, Joe. And
Yeah.
and I think that's part of this. When on one side, I have very little. On one side, I'm not concerned about it, but on the other side, I am.
Hmm.
Because the people that you travel with are, all like-minded travelers. We're
Yeah.
all there to be respectful. We're all there to experience things. That's the reason why
Yeah.
most people on a cruise plop down all that money, especially a
Yeah.
European river cruise, right? They're
Yeah.
not there to go make trouble or start a ruckus or anything like that.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So I think you're going to do great on this river cruise. Can you tell us what cruise you're going on?
Oh, yeah, I'm going on. I want to make sure I don't mess this up. But it's the Emerald. You know what's funny, actually, Harry? I'm
Yeah.
glad you brought this up. I don't even know what ship it is, though, from Emerald. I've been trying to. Sorry, I'm like all over the place. I apologize in podcast land here. I'm
You
going on
look,
Emerald
you're
Cruises.
right. Hmm.
Yeah. It's the legendary Rhine and Moselle. Is that how you pronounce it? Is it Moselle? I've never actually said that out loud. Is it the Moselle or
Um,
have you pronounced
I
that
say
before?
it Moselle, but I believe that the Europeans, I've heard my German employers at one time call it the Mosel. The
The
Mosel.
Mosel. Okay. But
Mosel.
yes, to answer Harry's question, in June I'll be going on with my bar business partner Barry for a fantastic cruise on Emerald. My first time with Emerald. Except I'm not sure the ship, but that's besides the point. It's going to be my first time on them, anyways.
You
Yeah.
bring up something really interesting. I too have been looking on the Scenic and also the Emerald website. They are two brands owned by the same company, Scenic Travel Group, and yeah, they don't seem to emphasize their ship names as much as they emphasize their experiences. So that's
Yes.
an interesting
Exactly.
strategy. That's an interesting
Yeah.
marketing
But
strategy.
I'll tell you, the when you do actually look into their river cruises, at least the ships, they look amazing, and I'm really excited. As someone who's done Viking, I've done Riverside, I've done, I've toured Uniworld. I'm excited to experience for the first time Scenic Group. Yeah.
Have you ever traveled this general itinerary before? Or has it mostly been like Danube and Netherlands and Belgium?
This this particular one, sorry, I'm looking at my other screen to make sure yeah, this particular one, no. I have been to certain parts, but I could say even on the map that they show in the itinerary is all new to me. A bunch of, once again, German names that I would butcher, but very exciting, especially being a wine focused tour. A
Hmm.
lot of vineyard stops, which is really exciting, wineries.
I
Yeah, it's gonna
hope
be fun.
you like Riesling. Oh my goodness,
Love
you're
it.
going to have some of the best Riesling
Yeah.
in all the world. And just to, if we had a counter, I would have it behind me like geeking out #1. Joe, I am so envious because as part of your cruise, you're going through the upper middle Rhine of Germany. And
Hmm.
that place has been declared by UNESCO to have the highest concentration of fairy tale castles
Yeah.
on mountaintops.
Yeah.
So you're going to get some amazing, amazing video and pictures. So we can't wait
Well,
to see your coverage on that.
this isn't me. I'm not driving the boat, so I just want to say it out loud that me and Barry will probably be on the top deck with a bottle of wine. And I always like to do the drinking game on river cruises where take a sip every time you see a castle.
Oh no.
It's
I'm gonna
fantastic.
play that. Look, in the past I haven't been able to play that game, but I think now I can. So
Yeah,
next
you're on the
time
other
we're on it,
side now. You're not on the corporate side. You get to have
right?
enjoy the fruits of your labor of
Yeah,
cruise news and what you do.
absolutely.
Yeah. So next time we're on a cruise, we'll play that game together.
Super, super.
So I
Wow.
wanted to touch on, so I'm looking at my
Hmm.
notes, and we talked about obviously my traveling abroad as an American article, and just to kind of open up that conversation a little bit. And then you also had a good call out of like international travel concerns, stuff like that.
Right.
Is there anything else like with the whole flight delays and because this will lead
Well,
back to my Reddit section at the end of this podcast, but
right. So, here's the thing. For those of you who those of you who don't know Joe and me, and actually most people probably don't know this little thing, we text words and ideas to each other. We have the shared Apple Notes
uh-huh.
memos that we always keep on adding topics to just for discussion. And some of these words that I've been drafting, that I've been putting down recently, that I still don't have any answers. I don't think we put these down for answers, but we put these things down for just for thinking. And so, like, travel concerns due to multi-regional geopolitical
Mhm.
instability. That is
Yeah.
the term that the official term. We're looking at instability in the Southern Caribbean. We're looking at
Mhm.
instability of definitely the Strait of Hormuz. Um, gosh,
Well, Celestial
there.
Cruises just canceled, and I've done Celestial Cruises once in the Mediterranean, but they're really known for their Middle East cruises.
Yes.
They, I mean, they do like F1 stops like in Bahrain, and I really wanted to do that, but now those have been, I think, almost. Don't quote me on this, but I believe you could probably Google it. 100% canceled right now. Yeah, and I have a friend who works for them, and I want to touch it. Get some info from
Please.
her if she can give me some public info, of course. But yeah.
Absolutely. And you made a good point here too. Like, say for instance, this also may impact some new lines coming online. Like, say for instance, Amman at Sea. It's the hotel company, the Indonesian hotel company Amman. They're, like Four Seasons, launching their own yacht cruising.
Mm,
And they are also backed by Saudis, and they were going to look at launching in that general area. And here's
wow.
the thing, with Saudi Arabia, one thing I heard this morning on Bloomberg
Hmm.
television was that they're saying how the Middle East, a lot of the countries there have been putting a lot of investments when it comes to like travel, tourism, and ship infrastructure. I know Cruise Saudi, which is a big player in that region, they had been building what, five, six, seven stops along that
Wow.
whole Suez Canal,
Yeah.
and they're not pulling. They are not. What is the term? Well, anyway, they're not sparing a dime on the development. I hear that some of these places are just as beautiful as South Beach that they're
Wow.
creating. So what does this mean? And then also Dubai itself is a major
Mm,
regional connecting
yeah.
airport. And now, from what I'm hearing, Like this morning, United Airlines president was saying how they were trying to figure out direct air now from the US to Split. That's
Really?
in Croatia, say, for instance, which is a major turnaround port. So that there's this world of, a hub and spoke system. It's not,
Yeah.
it's completely turned on its own head.
Wow.
So that's like, any of you out there, have you had your air redirected? I don't
Right.
think that your cruise is canceled. It's just a matter of some of you who are cruising in the Greek Isles, Western Mediterranean, even Eastern Mediterranean. A lot of times, the good connection is in Dubai.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's pre and post cruises out there. If you go out that far, heck, Dubai is sort of like the Euro-Asian Las Vegas
Yeah.
kind of thing, right? I would want to go if
Yeah.
I were out there that close.
Me too.
So-
I was actually going to ask you, you've never been, huh?
I have never been. I've never been. I mean, it's a little, I'm going to admit it, the Middle East has always been a little bit intimidating for me. I have done a Holy Land cruise on Azamara one time. I think that was probably the very last sailing to the Holy Land, because the night that I got on a plane in Tel Aviv was also the same night that I think this is like 2010 or something. Airport security was super strict, even for Israeli politics.
Yeah.
And, when I landed, I had heard that rockets were being exchanged with the Gaza Strip while I was in flight.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Holy.
So-
That's crazy.
Aside from the immense culture,
Yeah.
the instability, I mean, it's always been intimidating for me. I wound up spending 3 days in Israel. Got to see Bethlehem, which is actually also behind walls. Jerusalem,
Okay.
and that was about it, right? You know what I mean? It's scary.
Yeah.
It's
You know what it is like, even though we're so well traveled, and it's so funny whenever people, and I'm not insulting anyone, listen, like, my mom, I always throw her under the bus when I talk about her, but the truth is she's one of those scared travelers where it's like, when I got married in Mexico, the first time she landed in Mexico, she started crying because she went ahead through security. She turns around to go like catch up with my brother who was still going through security. And the men with guns, which they weren't even threatening. They just, in Mexico, they have guns just like they do in Israel.
Well,
like it's
they
not-
have, yes, the long ones,
Yeah,
not the
right.
small ones that
No,
goes
no.
into the,
the
I
full
know.
AR-15 or whatever. But what happened was
yeah.
a guy who, they speak Spanish. And so they literally stop her. And my mom took it as like she was going to get attacked. And she just started. The point I'm making, why am I saying all this? It's because people like my mom who are very scared of their shadows when it comes to travel. And the truth is she's just not the traveler. She goes with me, she feels safe, but if she's by herself or with other people that don't really know like what I know, she freaks out. So for you to say what you said, I totally get it. Cause even though I'm one of those people like I want to go everywhere in the world, I still, this goes back to our earlier conversation, but like I'm going to Germany and I don't know what to expect just because the world's, it's always changing. So yeah, I get what you're saying about that Middle East feeling, even though I still really, really, really want to do one of those celestial F1 cruises.
Well, I personally really want to go to Syria. I don't know
Wow.
if you.
Never
That's
thought of
where
it
they
personally.
filmed. That's where they filmed Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
I didn't know that. Interesting.
Yes. So, I want to go out there, go out in a Bedouin style, go visit the treasury and ride some camels and be in this like posh camp, tented camp, while being served tea and just watching the sun set over the desert.
That would be pretty cool.
I don't. Well, you also probably have lived always by the water, either by a river or by an ocean.
Yeah.
I've never been landlocked. I don't think I've
that's
ever
true.
seen the sun set over the land. Exclusively set over land.
what you're
Exclusively
saying.
rise and set. You know what I mean? It's like
yeah.
the sun's always over a body of water, either in the morning or the evening.
Right.
But to imagine there's nothing as far as the eye can see. I wonder what that would feel like.
That would be pretty cool. No, I get what you're saying now. Yeah, that would be really neat.
So,
Huh.
you know, so I mean, look, we talked about flights, concerns about flights, rerouting. Oh gosh, I mean, let's not even talk about our domestic issues when it comes to flight. I mean, if you can get on a flight, right?
Well, I'm praying,
Here.
by the way, I want to touch on that. I'm actually praying right now that come June, all this government shutdown is fixed. Well, in regard to the TSA agents, because that's another topic.
Yeah.
Literally people aren't even getting their flights. Like every day I'm inundated on my TikTok and social feeds of people like in New Orleans most recently. This is the most recent one. People are
Yeah.
literally not getting their flights. Like people are just like, don't even show up at the airport. It's not worth it. And of course, people are going to still go. But I mean, there are lines in the garages. Like they can't even get in the airport. So that's freaky because, and TSA, I guess agents haven't been paid for the last 2 months or something like that. It's insane. So
It is insane.
it's like, what are we going to, I'm hoping in June, everything's settled. It's a wave. It's a ripple effect. It takes a while to fix.
Well, that's also the thing, right? Just because you turn off the spigot doesn't necessarily mean that the water stops flowing. That is the problem, right? And then trying to fix everything is going to take, gosh, they say with every additional day, it's just going to add another week to our, recovery. This is all opinion that I've heard on the news here in Miami, Florida. We're definitely seeing, and on my local news, there are lines. They make this joke about the wait time at TSA is X hours. However, that's only at the beginning of the TSA line. That doesn't count the line that's going around inside the airport, then out the door into the garage. People are just, I mean, it's a terrible thing. That's what's happening to this world in relation to travel. I guess I always thought travel was going to be a driver of, I guess, the world coming together tighter, but now travel has become a consequence, has become sort of like a victim of world situations.
I mean, listen, I believe there'll be a turnaround, but right now that's why it's like all we can do is just kind of pay attention and cover it, I guess,
So, I mean, this also leads into something else that I've been thinking about is just capacity. And what the upcoming Europe season is going to look like. I'm kind of concerned because there's Europe and Alaska. Really, that's the primary summer seasons that we really want to watch out for. Alaska, from what I hear, is doing great. They got a lot of capacity. They are a go if you can get on that plane. But Europe, I'm not so sure. Here's the thing. I mean, a lot of the information, a lot of the data, a lot of the trends from wave season bookings is, they're still analyzing it. We're only 3 weeks, or I think we're on the official third week, right? Or is this the fourth week? Either way,
I think it's the third,
we're officially third week. So we haven't really heard any publicly any impact to trends, because a lot of that data is only coming in from the first week. And at that time, I think all of us were expecting something different out of this. But we're on our third week. It's Tuesday. Hopefully we will not see this go into a fourth week. But then, of course, this thing is, it's not just Middle East. It's not just TSA. I mean, it's not just Venezuela.
Well, you know what? This actually leads me perfectly into kind of this fun moment I'm trying to build off of this podcast, which is like, I know in the first one I was like, it's hot takes on Reddit, but it's really not. So basically, this is the part I actually wanted to, because literally what you just said is something that happened in the subreddit cruise that I really want to touch on. And this is more of like a reminder for everyone that if you're gonna sail on a cruise, or any vacation really, especially right now in the world, you should get travel insurance and plan ahead. So you'll see why in a second. So in this Reddit post, in the subreddit cruise. So for those of you who don't know, Reddit has subreddits of all sorts of things, not just cruises, travel, like all this stuff, finance, whatever. But one of the people posted a screenshot of a post of this poor family. They basically get this, Harry. This family booked their dream vacation. Their son's
Mm-hmm.
turning 9. They haven't been on vacation in a while. And apparently they saved up a lot of money, quite a bit of money. I'll just give you some base quotes. They basically spent over $9,000 on an ocean cruise. So this wasn't like some luxury river cruise. This is just an expensive family vacation. Long story
Yeah.
short, they did the most horrible thing you can do. They decided to book their flights the day of the cruise. So they arrived to the airport and they got their entire flight was canceled. They got actually, in fact, their flight wasn't canceled. They got booted. It was overbooked. And as you might know, if you read the fine print, and this is a really sad truth, if you read the fine print on your flight ticket or your flight contract, they can just boot you off the flight anytime they want. It doesn't happen too often, but it happens more often than you think. And in this case, this poor family had no travel insurance and basically lost everything. And even apparently in the note, they said Royal Caribbean didn't refund them, didn't even give them a credit, nothing, which is bad business on Royal Caribbean. Listen, this is not me to
Yes.
bash, because let's be honest, this is secondhand knowledge. I don't know if this could be a fluff piece. They could just be kind of ranting, but moral of the story,
Yes.
technically Royal Caribbean doesn't have to give you a refund. It's not really in the contract that says they
Exactly.
have to do that. That was your poor planning. So the only reason I wanted to cover this little segment is because for those of you out there that have never thought of travel insurance, trust me, you might spend a few 50, 100 plus bucks for that extra travel, whatever it is, but it's the peace of mind knowing that if something bad happens, whether it's an injury or death in your family or something like that, that you just can't
Yeah.
get on your vacation, or in this case, your flight just gets canceled, well, you get refunded. So
Yeah. Well, Joe,
yeah.
I think what you said about getting covered by insurance is only just you're scratching the surface here, because
Mhm.
travel insurance is super critical, I feel, when you're going on international travel. What if you get sick? What if you get injured? What if you pass away on your
Mhm.
vacation?
Yeah.
And one of the things when you're looking at travel insurance is there is a repatriation option, in which, say for instance, if you passed away or someone passed away in your group on vacation, that they can still transfer that body back home. I'm sorry to get so grim here,
No,
but
this is reality.
it's compounding. If you don't buy travel insurance, you're only compounding your trouble in your time of need. Say for instance, on an expedition cruise to Antarctica. Well, no, let's not say expedition cruise to Antarctica, because nobody can help you out there. But say an expedition cruise in the Arctic, or even on a big ship cruise in the Mediterranean. What if you got so sick you needed to get to a hospital and the ship cannot get to a port in time, and they'll have to helicopter you off? That helicopter ride, that's
I don't
somewhere
know
between
either.
$50,000 to $100,000.
I was going to say
And
200,000.
yeah, wow. You see, either way, it's going to, again, compound your troubles
Yep.
in your most dire time of need. Like you said, it's $50, $100 to
It's not
cover this.
expensive. A
It's
lot of
not
times it's not.
expensive.
And listen, I get it, and I just want to be transparent. I know why people don't do it. They don't do it because it's not even about being a gambler or risk taker or just like, oh no, everything's going to be fine. It could be a little ignorance, but the truth is, here's what it comes down to. And because I know I've done this too, full transparency. When I wasn't rolling in the money and I just, really was excited for a trip or whatever, or I always find that excuse to be like, oh, well, that's $150 I could spend on my vacation or whatever it is. I think
That's $150 you can spend in the casino. I know you, Joe.
oh, hey, don't tell them my secrets, all right? But no, seriously, I really do think that, I have empathy for people like that because, they say, like this poor family, they saved up so much money to do this amazing vacation. And now it's just going to be a stain on their existence of anything in the
Yes.
future. They'll never do Royal Caribbean. They may never do a cruise again. They might honestly may not recover from this for a while. I don't know them, but I'm just saying this is this kind of stuff I think about. So Yeah.
So, well, and these are very valid thoughts. And on top of that, I will say that some cruise lines are smart. So some
Yeah.
cruise lines actually will either roll in the cost of
Hmm.
travel insurance, or they will make it a boarding condition that you purchase travel insurance.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's actually really
those are the
smart.
smarter ones. Yeah.
Hmm.
And you know, unfortunately, you know, when you look at the mass lines, they, you know, they try to take every little bit of additional cost down
Yeah.
so that they can, you know, compete on price. What that means is that what they consider travel insurance is not critical.
Right. Right.
And so with the larger lines, we still, you know, and especially with this family, mom, dad, and two kids in tow. I mean, it was gambling, I feel, because,
Yeah, good
you
point.
know, you could never, gosh, you know, the kids, the
Yeah.
kids. What
Think of the
about the
kids.
children?
Think about the children. Okay. Enough about this depressing thing. This one's a little more upbeat. So this is the last Reddit comment of the day, and this one's a good one. And I think you and I both are very social beings. So before I even tell you what this question was, one of the things I pride myself is that over the years of my history of doing this content creation full time, I love solo travel. Listen, I love when Harry's on. I love that my bringing my buddy Barry. I love when my wife's been on, my mom, yada yada yada. But my favorite thing is meeting new people, being a solo
Yes.
cruiser, because I can walk down to the bar, have a drink at the pool, meet someone while I'm dipping my toes in the water, and get to know people. So the question is, and this is where I'm happy to have you here to talk me through this, what you think.
Yeah.
The question was, solo cruisers, what actually works for meeting people? And then the question was, under the title, was, if you go on a cruise alone, what's the best way to meet people? Bars, excursions, dining. And this person said, I tried to start random conversations, but I just felt awkward after the first day. So I'm going to jump in and just say, I don't think you should feel awkward. Now, listen, I know everyone's different. Some people, maybe they're introverts naturally. They splurged on a vacation. They just wanted to get out. The truth is, 9 times out of 10, if you show interest in someone, especially on a cruise, they want to talk. In fact, there are times where,
Yes.
not to be
Yes.
rude, but I have to shut people up. Like I have to be like, I have to make up an excuse. I gotta go. No, no, I'm serious. And I love that. That's what I love.
Mm-hmm.
I love that 99% of the time I'm gonna have people want to talk to me. You can tell actually, it's actually really funny. Like pretend I'm at a bar here. I'll be sitting here drinking my drink. And literally, you could just see people chomping at the bit to talk to you. Like they want to know. Like I'll have my camera on my thing, or they'll make conversation about my iPhone case. Like people are eager to communicate. So this person, maybe they were giving off vibes, maybe they weren't sitting near people, but I personally
Mm-hmm.
think solo cruising, God, you can go anywhere, whether it's the dining hall, the buffet, anywhere, and you're gonna find people that want to talk to you. So what are your
Yes.
thoughts on this?
Um, I'm going to boil it down to one simple thing.
Mm-hmm.
Get in line.
Mm.
You know, I think, Joe, first of all, you are so right in that the overwhelming majority of cruisers are actually very, very friendly. That's why we love cruising, is that I think no matter where most cruisers come from, they're curious. They went so far from home. Some of us, you know, a little less far than whatever, but
Yeah.
I think that they all want to know, like, oh my God, I'm going on a cruise and I'm going to meet people. They
Yeah.
all, that's part of that, that's a common expectation. I don't really think anyone's going on a cruise to be by themselves,
Right.
right? I think you know, if you're going on a cruise to be by yourself,
Yeah.
bless you. Bless you, you know, although you could make an amazing, complete solo hermit style cruising, and the cruise line will cater to you in that way too, if that's what you want.
Sure.
But I feel like the fact that we're on a ship, part of the whole thing about a closed environment, it's
Yeah.
a smaller environment than we're used to, is that everyone knows. It's like, oh my goodness, I want to know who my fellow cruisers are.
Yeah.
And so my trick has always been get in line. And
Yeah.
actually not just jump in line. I mean, you know, the folks there are two different types of people that I look out for when joining a line.
Yeah.
Is it a lady? Maybe. And then also couples,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
couples.
Yeah.
They're so, and maybe older gentlemen too. Older gentlemen, they also, they want to just tell you all about what's going on in Minneapolis,
Oh my God,
and
yeah.
I want to hear that too.
Yeah.
But you see, I think that's just it. And when you're waiting in line, I mean, I'm not saying like a super long line, but when you're waiting in line, that's like, oh, hey, nice iPhone case.
Yeah. Right.
It's like, oh, did you go on an excursion? I'm thinking about, or even, have you been to this bar before?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that advertised cocktail that they have there on the table? I think you just gotta take that first leap of faith. And as you say, Joe, be careful what you wish for once you open the gates.
I'll actually say this. A lot of times when I'm traveling solo, people notice I'm solo. Like, because typically when you go to a bar, for example, or you go in a hot tub, which I'm going to go back on that in a second, why I recommend hot tubs. But people typically, they notice you're alone. Like when I go to the main dining room, if I'm alone, the first thing is like, oh, is your partner or friend or whoever you're with, are they sick? I'm like, no, I'm alone. And they're like, whoa. And then all of a sudden now granted, I do this for a living, but I've solo cruised when it wasn't really part of the job, so to speak. So anyways, I'll just say that I think people are pretty social. A few other tips I'll leave so we don't, just stay all day on this topic. But I do find an interesting topic is, one, shout out to Norwegian Cruise Line, because they're the one of the only brands that do the solo studios. Now they are inside suites, or inside cabins, I should say. Maybe they're not so much suites, but I've sailed on one and they're futuristic. They're very pleasant. Yes, they're small because it's a solo cabin, but let me tell you, it was it was a very good experience. And on top of that, they also do solo meetups every day. So you can pair yourself up with someone to go to dinner or a group. They go to shows together. So got to shout out Norwegian Cruise Line, because they're the only cruise line I know of doing that. If you're thinking like North American brands, I can't really speak for the European because I'm not expert in that, but that's one. Two, the reason I brought up hot tubs is because, once again, when you go to a hot tub, I mean, every now and then you'll see a couple that's kind of like, sitting, having a close conversation with them. But let's be honest, it's a hot tub. Like, you have no privacy, so to speak. So for me, I've had great conversations in a hot tub. Oh, how was your excursion today? And next thing you know, you learn all about that. My last tip, if you're in the Caribbean or even in the Mediterranean, I guess, in the Caribbean, if you can afford it, take a catamaran. Catamarans are fantastic to meet people, because a lot of times you're going to meet solo people, you're going to meet group travel, you're going to meet families. Everyone's drinking rum punch, having a great time. I just feel like I've had some of my best communication, even when I'm not solo. Let's say I'm on a press trip with my buddy Harry here. We end up meeting random people, because we're all technically, we're in a group, but we're solo. Like, we're there working, but we're technically solo in a group. And you start shooting the shit with all these cool people, and I just feel like those are great ways to meet people.
Remember that time we took a sunset catamaran cruise on the island of Nevis?
That was beautiful.
And you gave the exact response I was hoping to solicit. When you're faced with such immense natural beauty, I mean, that stuff just takes your walls down, I mean,
you start taking
the rum punch too.
People, the rum punch.
Yes.
But, people are like, hey, can you take my photo? Or, ask somebody, can I take your, and all of a sudden you guys are like best friends. You know what I mean? So I just feel like, and listen, I'm far from an introvert. I'm not even close to one. I mean, I would say 1%. I like to be inside, not talking to anyone. Every other time I like to be out. But I'll say this, you could be the most introverted person that wants a little social activity, and you'll get it on a cruise. That's why I love it. That's why I love cruising.
Well, that's the thing, right? I mean, I completely agree with you. I try not to stay in my room on a cruise.
Same.
But the beauty about this is that, when you're in a room by yourself, single occupancy, or in a solo stateroom, you do have some place to go and hide if you feel like you just need to recharge.
Yeah.
And that's I think maybe the point, part of the point of your solo cruising is that, you're looking at this as, you have the option, but at the same time, you can step out and get the energy also that way. But also, one more thing about NCL. When you are on board and stayed in their solo category staterooms, wasn't there like a social area in the solo?
Yeah, and sorry, I thought I touched on that. Great call out. Yeah, so I forget, and I, please excuse my ignorance. Even though I sailed on them, I do so many things. I forget the actual naming structures. I know they're called solo studios cabins,
Okay.
but yeah, they have a little. To Harry's point, it's fantastic. So they have like your own private meeting room, really futuristic looking, very very pleasant. It almost reminded me of like a cool airport lounge. Anyways, it has coffee. They constantly, like a coffee machine, like a proper one of those big machines that just need to be refilled by the tenants. They always have a tenant in there making sure that the glasses are cleaned up, fresh water's there, fruit, cookies, and some other fun stuff. But that's where you'd meet every day. And I actually did all my video editing and work down there. Once again, I met great people. It was like I treated it like a cafe. And
Yes.
yeah, every day they'd have a meeting. I think it was around 3:34 or something like that. Right before dinner, gets you in there. They'd play games. They'd get to know you games, and also just like, what do you guys want to do today? And like the plan of the evening's events. And yeah, no, I thought it was. Thank you for bringing that up, because that
Yeah.
was, once again, shout out to NCL, because I was like, dang, that's a really cool feature. Like, as a solo traveler, even though I'm very independent, I was like, this is a great feature. And in fact, I made a
Yes.
friend on that, and we stayed in touch via Instagram, and now she's like looking at CruiseNews and my stuff, and she's always asking me
Yeah.
questions, and we still bond over that experience, because we would go to like the karaoke at night together, and I didn't sing, but I would like
Right.
watch with her, and we'd sit at the bar. It was really cool. Yeah.
Oh, gosh, Joe, I mean, we could go on and on and on about how to meet people on a cruise. I
Yeah.
gotta, you just mentioned karaoke. Come on. If you go up there, make sure you know your song. Go up
Yeah.
there. If you don't feel like if you don't feel like you have any friends,
Yeah.
go sing a song on stage. You're gonna
Absolutely.
and just watch everyone go gaga over you and want to be your friend, and and heck, I do this terribly, but names and faces. It's a double handicap for me, but just write their names down.
Yeah.
Once
Yeah.
you call them out by name the next morning,
Yeah.
they're going to be so impressed, they are going to want to get to know you more.
That's a good. I'm actually glad you said that, because I do my best to do that, but I need to be a little more just aware, because I find myself many times forgetting, like, oh, I know that person. What's their name? But no, that's a good call out. I would for sure recommend that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, because heck, everyone's on board. I will also tell you, I've traveled by myself and I've traveled as a couple also.
Hmm.
Joe, yeah, before we even talk to people like you or people like us, individual travelers, the couples or the people traveling with other people have already made up a backstory about you. I mean, everyone on board is in everyone's business. I think that's kind of why I like cruising, is that we're forced to mix and mingle,
Yeah.
if you want to.
No, that's true.
And people are like, oh, hey, I see that guy. He's always wearing a cap, and he's always on his computer, and he's always got his Osmo shooting.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, and I've been watching him for 2 days, and I don't see him with anyone.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's funny you say that, because I actually, because a lot of times I have my camera stuff, and I try not to be in people's faces by any means. In fact, I try to be like a ninja about it. But yeah, I have my stuff. They see me at the bars and cafe with my laptop working. Literally, some guys like, aren't you on vacation? I'm like, well, hey, my job is a vacation. I love my job. And then they find out what I do, and I show them my CruiseNews card or my Joe's Daily card, whatever, and they're like, this is what you do for a living? I'm like, yep. So I don't mind being on my computer a few hours a day. You know what I mean? Like, this is what I do.
Right?
Yeah.
And one last thing about solo cruising. I mean, you probably won't find, I mean, NCL stands out in the mass market.
Yeah.
But in the premium and in the luxury sector, you can always find, no single supplement or a reduced single supplement room. A lot of river cruise lines in Europe are offering solo suites, quote unquote. Like say for instance, Riverside Luxury Cruises, they have solo suites on every one of their ships. I see that right now, as of today, Scenic and Emerald are offering no single supplements. So essentially you can go on to a luxury or an ultra luxury cruise without having to pay for two.
That's
and when
great.
you're on those, I gotta tell you, when you're on a much smaller ship with a much more focused clientele, you will have absolutely no problem making friends because you're doing everything with them. They're doing everything with you. I mean, I think part of relationships is just showing up, right? It's your presence.
Absolutely, yeah. Which I can't wait for that, because one thing I like about a river cruise is how intimate it is, and the fact that you are going to see the same people, for better or worse, but you're going to see the same people every day. And, you know, it's very easy. And honestly, I'm very excited to take Barry along. I'll leave you with this about this river cruise. And Harry already knows this, but the podcast doesn't. Barry has never been to Europe, and him and I own a bar together. And Harry loved the idea of having Harry and Barry come along because we both like wine. He's never been to Europe. I, as a writer and someone who loves Europe and cherishes my friendship with him, I'm going to be able to see, it's like a kid in a candy shop. So I'm excited to see his experience, and honestly I'm live through his experience, because one thing I love doing is hosting and having a good time, and being able to see what he's experiencing live and doing it with him is going to be kind of just the most easy content I've ever created, because I'm just, you know what I mean? I'm just going to be able to like just watch it all unfold.
And I am very curious. I can't wait to see what you cover about Barry. I mean, we're talking, this is like old world wines, old world spirits. Both of you being, being partners in a bar. I am just so fascinated and so eager to see his response to some of the stuff. I know you guys have probably like, a wonderful selection of labels and spirits and wine at your bar, but to be there where this stuff was created.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, please, I mean, on one hand, I'm like, force him to have a drink for me. But I doubt that Barry's, I doubt Barry's going to need it.
Just come along. We'll have a good time. Do it.
But yes, that's going to be a wonderful cruise. I'm very, very jealous. But no, I'm gonna stay here in Miami. I do feel. I suspect, maybe not. I suspect, because I have a feeling maybe there might be some opportunities for just a Caribbean getaway this summer. And by the way, a little plug on an article that I published this past week, was my review. Well, it's called "This Is Not a Review of Celebrity Reflection."
Right, yeah.
And essentially, this was a 4-night cruise that I took in the first week of December, and it cost me less than $200 for an inside stateroom, single occupancy. So at that rate, it was practically more expensive to stay at home. But I went on board with absolutely no expectations, no plans, and I had the most wonderful time.
That's great. Love that. I love those types of trips too, and I love the reason behind it. And even though I've never been a big advocate personally, and you'll know why in a second, if I lived in Miami or even Fort Lauderdale, I'd be going on cruises every other weekend. But just the cost of the flight and the effort and time, a 3-day cruise or a weekend cruise, we call it. It's not even a thought for me. I got to be 5 or less, or 5 or more days, nights.
Yeah, well, you got to make your time worthwhile.
Yeah.
Although, Joe, I'm keeping an eye on the real estate market here for you. It's like, Joe, I just put you down for a mortgage.
I'm getting calls from Harry. Hey, what's your social security code again?
Yeah.
and your mother's maiden name?
Yes. Oh, and what's your favorite four numbers? What are your 4 favorite numbers?
Trust me, I would love to have like if I could afford like an apartment there or something like that, because the truth is, I as much as I don't want to just do the Caribbean, there's so much content to be had with all the new ships and stuff. I'm just like, oh, I'd love that. But yeah, I'll just have to maybe just camp out on your couch for a couple months.
You are always welcome here. As you know, we do have the Miragliata suite.
Right, right.
The Miragliata presidential suite.
That would be so
Yeah.
funny.
It's going to be great. I do look at this as one day we will have to maybe have an office, Joe, and maybe there'll be a Cruise News HQ here in Miami.
That'd be cool.
And we'll have a hospitality suite, of course, and you can crash out there anytime. You don't have to come here and stay in my squalor.
I'll just sleep. I'll sleep under the podcast desk. So
Yes, there you go. Look, that's why we have a desk to begin with, for you to sleep under.
I just need a roof, just a little.
Yeah. Look, we'll also have a stick too to poke you once in a while if you snore too loud.
Right. Well, to wrap up the show today, I think it was a great convo and great second episode. I almost said first episode. I'm already losing my mind. But I did want to mention something I didn't mention. Obviously, I mentioned the social channels. Please go follow those. If you did listen this long, thank you so much. But one thing I will say is that I am doing my best to make sure that these shows are published all the places you want to find your podcast, the typical suspects like Spotify, Apple Music podcasts. I believe it's on Amazon, and of course, YouTube. So we personally really are striving to build our YouTube channel. So if I could request anything, a little call to action, please go subscribe to our YouTube channel, because we're going to start putting out room tours and food reviews and just hopefully cruise ship tours, stuff like that. So yeah, definitely go follow us there.
Tune in and subscribe.
Yes.
Tune in and subscribe.
Just click all the buttons, the things that that if
Not the red button.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
Now we're getting silly. Oh, I'm getting silly.
But it's super helpful, and I think a lot of people, if we don't ask, it's truly, if I don't ask my mom to watch our podcast, she's not going to watch it. So.
Yeah, my mom gave me some notes from the last podcast.
Maybe our next podcast or maybe a YouTube video is us simply reading our comments from our parents.
Yeah, my mom did. I asked her if she wanted to talk about it. She's like, no, I texted you what I wanted to say.
You know what though? You know why I respect your mom and her attack on that is because I love my family, but they're like the easiest critics. Like they're just happy I'm doing stuff, which don't get me wrong. Like, it's nice for my ego, I guess. Like, hey, thanks for watching that, whatever. But sometimes I'm like, can you just, hey, Joe, you talk too much. Hey, you looked at the camera weird. Hey, Joe, you know what I mean? I'd rather have a little bit of a critique, because sometimes I'm just like, so I mean, I respect your mom. She
No, thank you.
She gives it
thank
to you.
you.
She gives it to you the way it is. And if you're watching,
Yeah,
this,
well, I didn't ask her. Yeah, thank you, Mom. And I didn't ask her, but she also fielded that with some of her friends, and they are the same type. So yeah, I got more than enough constructive criticism, let's say.
I love
constructive criticism. I'm hoping that I am doing my mother proud on this one, the second one, and I'm looking forward to getting her notes on this second podcast.
Just invoice me the therapy bill. It's okay.
No.
Just kidding.
Oh, this is why I have to work, Joe, for the therapy.
All right. Well, as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. And this was The Main Deck, a CruiseNews.com production. More to come. And as always, happy cruising, be safe, and be nice to everyone.
Be nice to everyone and subscribe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.